If you're currently navigating adulthood, a word that you're probably tired of hearing is consistency. And no matter how much you've heard this word, how much you've tried to practice being consistent with something, you just haven't been able to. In today's video, we're going to look at consistency from a whole different perspective. We're going to give a whole new light to consistency and make it a lot easier for you to practice. If you're seeing my face for the first time, hi, my name is Aguru and I'm a doctor currently in the mental health space. I have a special interest in human psychology and behavior. And if this isn't the first time you're seeing my face, thank you and welcome back to the channel. For a moment, I want you to think of the way that you have approached consistency for the longest time. You probably had a set of goals that you wanted to achieve, be consistent at, and most times you thought of those goals when you felt your best. You thought of those goals with you feeling your 100 all the time. Take, for example, you want to consistently go to the gym. You would say, I'd go to the gym 3 days a week for an hour. And that was when you felt your best. You were at 100. If there's anything you would have realized with adulthood is you don't feel your best all the time. There are times where you don't feel like it. So what happens in those times? If you set your goals to be consistent for the times where you feel your 100, it means you already have set yourself up for failure. The first change you should have when you think of consistency is approach consistency as an identity. The truth is, what we're trying to do when we want to be consistent at something is we're trying to create an identity. We're trying to be identified as that thing. I want to be consistent with reading because I want to identify as a reader. I want to be consistent with the gym because I want to be identified as a fit person. The moment you start looking at consistency from the point of view of an identification, you begin to understand that even at the times where I don't feel my 100, I still need to do this thing because that is who I am. In a nutshell, look at consistency as a lifestyle. I know it sounds cliche, but that's the best way to approach consistency. Think of it as an identity. The moment you start looking at consistency as an identity, you begin to realize that even at the times where I don't feel my 100, I should be doing this. And that brings us to the next thing that would help with consistency is having a bare minimum. Because I understand that I would not always be at my 100, setting a goal to be consistent for when I feel my 100 is setting myself up for failure. Having a bare minimum is saying I am a reader. On the days where I feel my 100, I might read a whole book, or I might read a chapter of a book, or I might read 2 chapters of a book. But on the days that I don't feel my 100, I'm still a reader, but that might look like 5 minutes of reading. That might look like a page of a book. That might look like a chapter of a book, depending on what your bare minimum is. So approach consistency as an identity. And as you look at it as an identity, also create a bare minimum of what is acceptable for this new identity that you're trying to create. Say you're trying to create the identity of a fit person. On the days you feel your 100, that might look like an hour in the gym 3 times a week. The bare minimum for a fit person could be a 10 minutes walk in the park. Once you start looking at consistency this way, more as an identity, a lifestyle that you're trying to create, and having the bare minimum that is allowed for this lifestyle, you would realize soon enough that being consistent is actually a possibility. You want to be consistent with creating content because you want to identify as a creator. My bare minimum for being a creator could be a post on Instagram stories or a post on TikTok or 5 minutes just sitting down and writing a script. On the days I feel my 100, that could be an hour of filming, 2 hours of filming. Once you start approaching consistency this week, you realize that you can't be consistent with a lot of things. You only haven't been consistent because you've thought of it on the days where you feel your best. Days you don't feel your best, you struggle with doing that thing. Have a bare minimum, look at it as an identity, and you realize that consistency is truly not as difficult as you have thought all this while. And that brings us to the end of today's video. If you found this video helpful, please do well to like, leave a comment, and share to somebody else that you think might also find this video helpful. And to the next one, I'll see you. Bye.